Hey, so I wanted to document this. I've tried to draw it, but I can't draw it. I'm going to try and explain it as best I can, but I've actually been seeing this for a few weeks now. But I've just been so busy, I haven't had a chance to sort of sit with it to figure out what I was being told and what it was the ancestors and the divine universe were trying to tell me. So I started drawing it. I'm going to explain it the best that I can. So I keep seeing this. And it's, how can I explain it? I drew this a few months back of our universe, right? Us being the ones that are ascending to the creation frequency or the God frequency, the ones who are awakening, and those who live below the Schumann resonance, those who exist in the Schumann resonance, so the subconscious existence versus subconscious reality versus conscious reality. The matrix is in the middle, and which reality you exist in is decided by the choices that you make. That's just the design for my store. But then I started seeing this, and I've been trying to figure out what it is because it looks like wispy, sort of clouds of wispy, like the Colosseums and stuff of wispy golden light and sort of smoky, wispy, cloudy looking thing with this arc of light. And it's just been explained to me finally what it was. This here, I've been told, is this is the universe that we know so far. And it is the shock waves, or they said pulsars of a magnetic force sparking creation, of sparking the creation of our universe. So this is basically would be, in theory, the Big Bang, because I've always said we don't know what's at the edge of spaceship because we haven't finished creating it. That when you work in symbiotic union with each other, and you live a balanced life, a balanced civilized life, you help evolve man, which helps evolve civilization, which helps evolve the universe, and that everything works together to expand the universe. So this kind of explains this, right? So this is the universe expanding after the Big Bang pushed it forward using pulsars. So these are the pulsars. And what this is, as it was explained to me, is this seen from that angle. So if you were to look at that up close, it would look more like that. So that there is basically that from that angle. Okay, but obviously arched up the other way, because it's like that's the force of growth, and this is what happens when you make the wrong choices in life versus the reality you get when you make the wrong choices of life or choose to live in the matrix, and the reality you get when you make the right choices in life and step into the creation frequency and have your ascension. When you look at this up close, because I always say it's dots of golden light, it looks like this. It looks like a tube with round hoops on the tube, except remove those lines. There is no tube, there's just the round things that because they're stacked like that on top of each other, it looks like a tube, but there's no walls of the tube. It's just like round, sort of, they keep saying pulsars, like pulses. It's pulses that because this to me looks like contact lens. This is what was before our universe, and there's still a bit of our universe still there, yet to be birthed. And that's what they said. There's a bit of our universe yet to be birthed that we won't discover if we don't evolve. Because we are, our actions and behaviours are devolving our civilization, there's something incredible waiting to be birthed that we won't get to see if we don't work together in peace and harmony to get off the planet and start our space exploration the way it should have been done by what I was told by the 80s. We should have started discovering all this part of our universe in the 80s, but we gave way to things like, Cold War fights with Russia and getting into arguments with China, and they just, like, there's a just wait and see. Like, if we just all stopped buying into the drama and the lies and the bullshit and living in fear, there's still so much to come for us to learn about in our reality. And then it said, the universe is an atom yet to be created, like it's still in the throes of being created. We're still in the spark of creation. We haven't even technically really started creating all the things we're capable of yet, because we haven't gotten past our egos and stuff to be able to work together as a planet to get off the planet, which is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to be in space. We're supposed to be seeing beyond the veil, so to speak. There's more to come. We're still being birthed, but we're degenerating now at such a rate of speed because of, things like living under the oppression of things like the Schumann resonance, that we're trapped in ego and fear and greed and pride and, all the unhealthy subconscious things that the Schumann resonance keeps you trapped under, or that, you have existence versus reality. We live in 3D reality, and that's the subconscious mind, where we're always having to deal with things like ego and pride and social conformity and mental health issues and decisions and choices and all that sort of thing. Whereas when you sit in an ascended world, in the creation frequency, you see all the answers clearly. You know the right path to take and right choices to make, because you see what's ahead of you, because you know where you came from, because the path ahead of you is so much easier to see when you use what you came from as stepping stones to raise you above it, so that you get to purvey what's coming, so you get to play your life like a chess piece. And that's what happens in there. And now the thing is, as well, the interesting thing is, see, when I talk about the paranormal with time slips and time bends, these things here, this thing here, that there, it's not, you could call it like it's not a parallel universe. It's an alternative, what's not an alternative reality, an alternative reality maybe. The reality of the life that you get when you make the right choices as per your intuition and instinct, and the life that you live if you make the wrong choices as per your subconscious, ego and pride, that sort of thing. I'm going to have that on a big wooden plaque, swinging outside my door. That's my stores. That's going to go on that's my moniker. So yeah, so this is it. Like, it's like a lasso, and it, like if you were to flick a lasso and it goes like that, and it kind of flicks like that. That's what this does, and it swings and goes like that, like a lasso, real fast. And every now and then it crosses over the two edges of the lasso's, like rope, so to speak, will crack together and cross paths, and that's when you get a time slip that we would call a ghost. And if they come close to each other but don't actually pass through each other like that, if those two bits there don't actually pass through each other like that, and they just come close to each other, that's when you get you know, like your grey ladies and all that, like your phantoms, the ones that are seen, you know, on the stairway or walking up the stairs or sitting in the garden crying. But when they cross paths, that's when you get, like, you know, your actual ghost hauntings, like where the person will turn around and try to communicate with you, or you both kind of walk in on each other and get a fright, or, you know, you'll see someone's head poking in through the door of your bedroom and they look startled in that. A prime example of what happens when these two whips cross and create a time slip is the Amityville Horror Ghost Boy. That's a time slip. He wasn't dead, he's not a ghost. He's a little boy who lives in the creation frequency because he was a pure and innocent, and his soul was probably getting ready to die, you know, because of the tragic events of what happened in the murders. And whoever took that photo literally caught a snapshot in time of a little boy who thought he was seeing ghosts because he lives in the creation frequency, and the creation frequency is where time exists simultaneously. So, yeah, so these little wispy things, they flip, like, you know, and they move, and they kind of like lassos of light. And I hope this makes sense. It makes sense to me. I know what I'm talking about, but I don't necessarily understand it. The other thing is this side of it, or the us side, is golden in light and color, whereas this side, the them side, so the reality of time versus the consciousness of time, so the ascended and, you know, the ones living in the matrix, so to speak. Our side is golden, and their side is a red and blue, where, you know, when certain frequencies align during certain cycles, and magnetic pulses are attracted, it turns purple. And it can be totally controlled by what I think is the black night satellite, but also satellite dishes and mobile phones and technology can control the Schumann resonance and the megawatts and all that, or megahertz of energy and that are pulsated beneath its resonance, which creates rage, fear, anger, um, psychopathy, depression, suicidal tendencies, self-soothing, self-medication, fetishes, addictions. I mean, because obviously fetishes, as we know, are created by people who self-soothe in order to deal with childhood trauma. So that's where your master maker, master manipulator relationships, that's why they're so important. When you're children, you know, who raises you and how you're raised is going to determine the outcome of what you become as an adult, and whether you are able to break past the resonance or not. But if you do break past the resonance and accept your ascension, while it is physically painful to do it, you know, you're going to suffer from things like headaches. And for people that haven't stepped outside of the resonance, they have issues with things like Mercury retrograde, like they have trouble talking and communicating. You know, you get headaches, sore jaws, ringing in your ears, that sort of thing, nausea. During Mercury, things like during Mercury retrograde, they'll have issues with things like that. That's how you know you're living below the frequency. So it's just because I've had a little bit of weed and I'm getting ready to cook dinner. So it's not because of Mercury retrograde, because I've pushed past it, so I don't have any issues with retrograde. Also, as well, you'll break technology. Since I stepped out of the resonance and into the frequency, I no longer break technology and drain the batteries on my phone and stuff, which is so helpful because I've learnt to temper my emotions and my energy, like I've found balance. So, which you have to have when you are in the creation frequency, because when you have your final trial, which is called your trial by fire, or, you know, going through the eye of the needle, stepping across the threshold, the portal, your phoenix rising, whatever you want to call it. When all of that shut down, you know, you just you have to whittle away so much of all the people um, belief systems, and basically an ego death. That's what it is. You have your final ego death. And because you have nothing to hide anymore, you have nothing to fear, and therefore you have perfect peace and balance because you can see everything coming, so you can plan and prepare, and it just helps bring you calm. So, yeah, so I had to put that up. I don't know why. I'm going to go and cook dinner now because I'm going to start getting whipped and beaten and sent down into the basement if I don't start preparing dinner soon, because my boys start threatening me with all sorts if I don't get dinner ready by about 4:30. So they're hungry babies. So yeah, that's our universe. That's what our universe looks like. If you were to step back and look at our entire universe, that's our universe. And those lines there is this. It's all this. And those, those lines, if you were to look at them properly, would be all of this, without those lines there, obviously. But it's all made up of dots of light that all resonate and pulsate at varying frequencies, and no two frequency is at the same level or the same hertz, megahertz. Is that what it's called? At the same resonance, they're all different. And every time a choice or decision is made by somebody in the universe, or Earth, because there's no one left living anywhere else here, they all got off and, started waiting to see what was in the new world. Hang on. Sorry, I had to sneeze. Every choice and decision we make gets woven into the fabric of our timeline, which is this. This is like the thread of the fabric of our timeline. And all these rings that you see that are the little dots I was talking about is every choice and decision that every person since time immemorial has ever made to help evolve us from being a single cell in the universe to, the organisms that we are now, that we call ourselves humanity. Animals in there as well, obviously, but we're just talking about the human narrative here. Gets woven into the fabric of the timeline and becomes a memory in the fabric of the timeline. And that is when everything that's moving and flailing, all those little dots of light, suddenly become resonant at the same frequency. They all become the same level with the same frequency and the same, resonance and pulse. It all, instead of going like that and being dots of light at varying frequencies, it snaps. A snap decision, snap choice, and takes a photo and what I call snapshot in time. It takes a memory of the decision, and that is then woven into the fabric of your timeline, and every choice and decision you make can then not be undone. Once you make a decision or an action or a plan of action or make a choice, and it's woven into the fabric of the timeline, it can never be undone. It can fade out, but it can never be undone. So I'm going to go and cook dinner now. I had to explain that. Don't know why, I was told to, so I'm just doing as I'm told.